Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Tonight's topic is the upcoming Sheridan Boulevard Water Main Replacement Project. My name is Vanita Curry, and I'm going to be facilitating tonight's conversation along with Denver Water staff, who will be your partners on this project. We are recording this meeting tonight so that we can ensure that everyone who wants the information gets it. So thank you so much for participating in this recorded meeting. Let's get started with introductions for the Denver Water team. Austin Steckler is the Water Distribution Manager. Darren Truax, On-Site Project Supervisor. Aria Alvarado, Public Affairs Lead. And Mari Sanabria Flores, Community Relations Specialist, along with my colleague, Heather Moss. Well, we know that you could be spending your evening doing so many other things. So thank you very much for adding this meeting to your must-do list. We'd also like to thank and welcome our Spanish speakers. Mari, could you please welcome them on our behalf?
Yes, thank you, Benita. Aunque este evento no contará con interpretación en vivo, hemos preparado recursos en inglés y en español para que todos puedan seguir la información. Además, nuestro personal bilingüe está disponible durante la sesión de preguntas y respuestas para responder a tus dudas en español. Esperamos tu participación. Gracias.
Thank you, Mari. Well, before we get started with the meeting agenda, there are a couple of housekeeping rules that we'd like to share with you to ensure you get the information that you need. Our first request is to maintain respectful communication. We will have a few opportunities for questions and feedback, but please keep your comments courteous. You will be muted throughout the presentation, but that is to allow Denver Water to share a lot of critical information that you need to know about this project. There will be plenty of opportunities for you to ask your questions using the chat feature at the bottom of your screen. It's the fourth icon if you look from left to right. Please keep your questions and comments only about the Sheridan Boulevard Water Main Replacement Project, and don't forget to participate. We will be monitoring the chat and collecting questions throughout the meeting. We will do our very best to address all of your questions, but if we do not get to all of the questions, we do encourage you to reach out to whatareyoudoing@denverwater.org. Broader questions or comments about Denver Water can be submitted by emailing customercare@denverwater.org or by calling Denver Water Customer Care at 303-893-2444. Now let's review our agenda. Here's what we want to cover with you tonight: the project overview and timeline, what to expect before, during, and after construction, lead service line replacement details, how to stay informed. We will pause for Q&A after each section. If you have a burning question that you know you want to ask, please put it in the chat now. You don't have to wait. So please do let us know what your questions are. So to kick us off, Aria will give us an overview of the project and tell us why this work is important.
Thanks, Vanita. Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. So at a high level, Denver Water's crews will be replacing nearly 8,000 feet of aging water mains along Sheridan Boulevard. This work will occur between West 13th and West 29th Avenues. And these pipes have really served the community for decades. So this project is going to help ensure that they continue to deliver safe and reliable water for years to come. Now, the timing of this work is closely tied to the city of Edgewater's multimodal corridor improvements. So by coordinating that now, we're hoping that we can protect and upgrade the underground infrastructure before major above ground improvements take place, avoiding future disruptions and saving time and money for everyone. By completing this work, we're going to make sure that we protect water quality and reliability by replacing this aging infrastructure. We're going to be reducing emergency disruptions and costly repairs, which means fewer unexpected outages for homes and businesses. And we hope to minimize overall construction impacts by getting Denver Water's work done prior to the upcoming corridor improvements. It'll allow their work to move forward more efficiently and reduce repeated closures and inconvenience along the corridor. So here's what you need to know about this work and when it will happen. So the schedule is currently scheduled to begin January 4th, I believe, 2026. And this is going to last through about early 2027. Our work hours are going to be mostly at night. They will be Sunday through Thursday from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. And the goal of that is to help limit daytime traffic impacts and business impacts along the corridor, but there may be some weekend work required throughout this project. Now, our approach is that our crews install water mains uphill to prevent air pockets from getting into the pipes. So 17th Avenue is a bit of a low point in the corridor, which means that phase 1 is going to begin at 17th. They'll work their way north towards 29th, and then they're going to jump back down to 17th and work their way toward 13th for phase 2. I'd also like to call your attention to the fact that Denver Water crews are currently working along Zenobia Street between 12th and 14th Avenues. This is a separate pipe replacement project that's currently happening. The work is occurring during the day. They started there early November, and they will be working along Yates and Xavier within the coming weeks, but we do expect them to wrap up that project sometime early next year, so you shouldn't see too much overlap. Mari, would you mind going over how we plan to keep folks informed throughout the project?
Yes, thank you, Arya. We know communication is key. Before work starts, we want to make sure you have the latest updates through multiple channels. In fact, you may have already received some project communications or may have seen us out in community promoting the upcoming work. To keep you informed, we have shared updates via email, newsletters, website updates, and project timelines with progress, mailed notifications, and door hangers for properties directly impacted by the work, direct outreach to businesses and multifamily buildings to address their unique needs and minimize disruption, posts on Nextdoor to keep the broader community informed, community meetings where you can ask questions such as this one, and our upcoming in-person meeting, which will take place Wednesday, December 17th at 5:30 p.m. at the Active Adult Center located at 6363 West 35th Avenue in Wheat Ridge. We also will be holding more virtual meetings and options available before phase 2 begins. Now that I'm going to hand it back to Benita for a brief Q&A before we break and talk about impacts and what can you expect before, during, and after construction.
Thank you so much, Mari. All right, that's the big picture for the Sheridan Boulevard water main replacement project. Now we'd love to hear your questions. To keep things focused and productive, please stick to what we just covered. Things like the project scope, timing, phasing, how this project is tied to improvements in Edgewater, and how to stay informed. We'll take some of these questions now. Please do type your question into the chat feature. We know that there are some obvious questions that you may have about the project, and so I'm going to begin this Q&A with some of those questions. Austin, why is Denver Water replacing these water mains now?
A large portion of Sheridan Boulevard was installed in the 30s, so the pipe is reaching its age-out limit. We're also working in coordination with the project that's from Edgewater. Our water main currently sits directly under what they're working on, so we're trying to get it out from under their street improvements. And we also try to only tear up streets once if that's at all possible. So we're in direct coordination with their project so that we don't end up milling and overlaying and paving, and then the city or Edgewater comes back and paves again. So,
thank you, Austin. Darren, I'm going to ask you this question. When exactly will construction start and finish, and what's going to happen over the holidays and weekends?
So the project will start January 4th. Holidays, we'll miss New Year's, but after that, we will work through holidays if it's during the week. So our hours will be set starting Sunday through Thursday morning, Sunday night to Thursday morning. And that will be, and on weekends, it'll be open unless we have a connection or where we're connecting one main to the old main. On that case, if it's something that has to be done on a weekend, then that will be the only time weekends will be impacted.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Darren. We do have a question from the chat. I see here there's a question that says, when do you anticipate impact to businesses on 25th? Darren, can you help there?
So it will be several months before that impact will happen. Again, we're going to start at 17th. So the phasing, the first phase is 17th to 29th, but there's phasing within that phasing. So we will go 17th to 20th, 20th to 22nd, I believe, or 23rd, 23rd to 26th, and then 26th to 29th. So that is kind of the brief timeline on what we're looking at.
Excellent. Thank you, Darren. Mari, will you send email updates, or is there a sign-up sheet for folks to stay informed and engaged?
Yes, you can visit denverwater.org/Sheridan and sign up for our e-newsletter, which we will provide weekly updates once the project starts.
I think one of the biggest questions that people might have on their minds, Austin, is if there's going to be water interruption. Do you anticipate that?
Yes, there will be water interruptions throughout the project. It kind of depends on where you live. Some parts of Edgewater are on a Edgewater water main, so you won't ever see a water impact. Some parts of Edgewater are actually on a Denver water main, so you will see water impact. The water impacts are typically around 8 hours. They'll be at night. Water's always turned back on after we're done for the day, so they'll never be, unless we have an emergency. Like I said, Sheridan Boulevard was installed in the 1930s. When we're in there working on it, touching stuff with us, when we put in water, it would take us a little over an 8-hour outage. But for the most part, we have an outage right when we start. We have an outage when we tie the water main back in, and then you have an individual outage when we grab your personal service line to attach it to the new water main.
Okay.
Most people will experience around three outages for an 8-hour period of each outage.
Thank you very much. And we do have another question from the chat. How long of a stretch of road will be worked on at one time, one block at a time, as an example, Aria?
Darren can probably speak to it better, but I would say typically it's going to be 2 to 3 blocks. Part of what makes the corridor challenging is that there are medians there. And so when we're working, we'll be working in the northbound lanes, but we'll have to divert traffic to the southbound lanes so that it can get through overnight. But those medians really kind of extend our closures at times. Darren, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, again, the phasing within the phasing. So on the 17th to 29th, that's how the impact will be. So you're looking at 17th to 20th, 20th to 23rd, 23rd to 26th, 26th to 29th. And the barricading and those road closures will go accordingly up the corridor using that method. When we turn and do 17th to 13th, that's where it will get tricky. It'll kind of be the same thing, 17th to probably Colfax, and then Colfax to 14th, and then 14th to 13th is how we're going to probably break that up.
I will add, I will add to that. If you sign up for our email newsletters, we will let you know on typically a weekly basis where the crews are going to be working the following week. So that's going to be the best way to keep updated as to where they're at and what those closures might look like for the immediate future. And again, you can sign up at denverwater.org/Sheridan.
Yeah, and I just wanted one more chat question that dovetails into that, what you just said, Aria. Someone wants to know, is there a map available showing affected areas? It sounds like if they're part of the email system or e-newsletter updates that they'll get that information.
Yeah, we have kind of a static map. We showed it on a previous slide, but on the webpage, there's actually an interactive map. And so we will update that as we progress along the corridor. So it'll give you a little bit more information, but really the most detailed information is going to be via those newsletters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So please sign up if you haven't already. So we're going to conclude this portion of the Q&A. Thank you very much for your participation. Please keep those questions coming. Please put them into the chat and we'll get to them as soon as we can. But now we're going to move on. Thanks so much for your participation. I'm going to hand it over to Austin to talk about what happens before, during, and after construction. Austin.
Yeah, we'll go through what's going to happen before, during, and after. So before construction, so before we're actually out there replacing water main, if you have a lead service line and are enrolled in our lead service line program, one of our planners will be by to perform an in-home consultation. A lot of this is already done. We still have a few homes to get into, but our goal there is to get in, chat with you about the program, explain the project to you. We need to see where your water service line comes into your home, and then we're also there to verify the material for what is coming through the wall. There's also a little bit of other work where we need to install a fire hydrant to help with groundwater. We have to do a treatment process when we're in groundwater, and we need the fire hydrant to be able to mix clean water with the groundwater so that we can treat it. That will be happening actually tomorrow night. There will be some valve work up at 26. We have a bad water valve currently that needs to be replaced. And then there's also some vault work happening up there on 26. I believe all that work is scheduled for December 6th. And that is what is going on before. Surveying and potholing. So our potholers, they'll be verifying service line material for the program, for the service lines that are enrolled in the program. That should be starting within the next week. Recon is our vendor, so he will be out there during the day doing some potholing for us. Survey work, you'll see some paint on the ground with surveying and utility locates, and that will all happen before we're out there putting in water main. What to expect during. So majority of the project will be in the northbound lanes of Sheridan. So we'll have those lanes closed. Traffic will be in the southbound lanes. So there'll always be a north and a south lane available in Sheridan. However, they'll just be, for the most part, on the southbound side. When we do a couple of the service line replacements, we'll be in both the north and southbound lane, and traffic will be in the middle. But like I said, for the most part, we'll be occupying the northbound lanes. At night, our permit is permitted for 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. So we'll start shutting down the road at 7 p.m. We'll get out there, perform our work, and then we'll be off the street by 6. There will be parking restrictions, although there's not a lot of parking on Sheridan, so it's not much of an impact there. A few business access things. So the businesses on the west side of Sheridan, while we're out in front of you, people will not be able to take a left if they're heading northbound, so they'll have to go down, turn around, and then they'll be able to get in if they're heading southbound because traffic will be on that side. But there will always be an available way to get into your business. We'll have flaggers out there if we need to make sure people can get in and out of where you are. Water outages, like we kind of talked about a little earlier, if you're in a water outage area, you'll probably experience 3. If you live a block to 2 blocks off of Sheridan, you will probably never see a water outage with this project. Other things during this replacement, so the lead service line replacements, like we said, we will be talking with you individually, but basically we will be replacing the service line from our water main into your home, and that will happen at night, and we'll coordinate with you to be able to get in there and be able to perform that work. After the project, so we will be paving behind us every night, so our trench will be paved and the road will be drivable. Concrete and landscape will also take place. Some other things with the paving, like I said, we'll pave our trench back every night, and then there will be another project behind us that's happening from 17th to 26th, and they'll be doing some different road improvements. And then outside 26th to 29th, and then 17th to 13th, when weather allows, we'll be back to do a full lane mill and overlay. So we'll mill 2 inches off the road and put back, any lanes that we dig into, and that work will take place down the road after we already have the water main in. Concrete work will typically take place during the day, so we only need to ever occupy 1 lane to put back curb and gutter, and CDOT, if you just have a one-lane closure, you can be in the road. So that will also take place down the line. We temporarily put back asphalt where concrete goes because we can put down asphalt in the winter. Concrete, we typically wait till the spring to put back, but that will happen in the spring. Landscape, there's not a lot of landscape work. We will be putting a couple hydrants in along Sloan's Lake, so we will tear up some grass there. And there's a few other properties that do have some landscape. All landscape work is April to October is when we put sod down. So you'll see our landscapers out there during the warmer months when we can actually put grass down.
I think our slides were a little behind his talking, so.
Oh.
Here's some beautiful pictures of the restoration.
Oh, there's landscaping. And now we're up for the Q&A. Thank you very much, Austin. Now that we've covered what happens after construction, including paving, concrete restoration, and landscaping, we'd like to pause and hear from you. If you have any questions about restoration, timelines, materials, or how we'll ensure the corridor looks great when we're done, please type your question into the chat. I see we've got some questions already ready to go. So let me take a look here. Darren, the question is, I live 2 blocks east of Sheridan. Will I experience water interruptions?
You should not. The only way that you would experience a water interruption is if for some reason that when we go to tie the 2 mains together, that we cannot get a good shutout, meaning we can't get the water completely off, and we would have to back up on those valves. That might be a problem, but so far we've already had valve surveys out there and everything seems to be working okay. So no, you shouldn't experience a water outage while we're there.
So for those who will, how far in advance will they receive a notice about that water outage, Darren?
So we generally give 24 to 48 hours notice of when we're going to have the actual outage done. The thing with this is when we send out, the first thing is do is we'll knock on every door. So if you don't answer your door, we're going to leave a blue and white door tag on your door stating when we're going to have the water out. Please pay attention to the date of when that water will be out. Some people get very confused that we put the date as today or they're thinking it's today, but on the bottom, it'll say date of water interruption will be, and this will be the actual date. So please look at that so you don't get confused as to when the water will be out.
So we've got a question about sidewalks, Darren. Are sidewalks on both sides of the street being replaced or just the east side?
Okay, the only sidewalks that will be replaced will be the ones that we impact. So if we have to cut in, like where we're putting a hydrant, when we cut in and across the sidewalk, that one section of sidewalk is what we're replacing. We're not replacing the entire sidewalks.
Thank you very much.
You may, Ryan, in the chat, you may check Edgewater's website to see if any concrete restoration is part of the corridor improvements. I'm not sure, but they might have more information about that.
Aria, coming back to you, do you have any tips to help residents with the nighttime noise that might be expected during the construction?
Sure. So we all know that construction noise is not fun ever. We did actually work with our fleet shop to have some of our backup alarms quieted. So essentially they are still required for us to work safely, but we are working to minimize those impacts. But what you can do and what is within your control is to close your windows and doors. I know that in the summer that's not always ideal, but it will help block out some of that sound. Consider earplugs or noise canceling headphones. Obviously not always comfortable to sleep in, but they do have some options now that might be a little bit better. You may want to also consider a white noise machine or apps. There's a lot of free ones out there. I actually use white noise or brown noise every night because I can't sleep with noise or silence. And it works really wonderfully. Those are typically free. You can also use them through like your Alexa and Google Home apps kind of a thing. And if possible, if we're working right in front of you and it's driving you crazy, if you have a friend or family member who doesn't live too close, maybe you can go stay with them for a couple nights before we move beyond you. So also you might want to schedule quieter activities for earlier in the evening just to avoid frustration later. If you want to have friends over for dinner, things like that, maybe you want to plan that, on Friday or Saturday when we're not working, or a little bit before construction starts so you guys can enjoy your evening without Denver Water's presence.
Good advice. Thank you, Aria. One more question, Darren, about sidewalks. How long does concrete curing typically take before reopening sidewalks?
Again, so if we disturb a sidewalk area, we're going to use a temporary patch in that sidewalk until we can get temperatures where they need to be to actually cure the sidewalk. So it would take typically, I think it's 6 hours for that to cure, but that would be poured when weather conditions are permitting and temperatures are permitting. So you might see a sidewalk and then you'll see that black, like almost blacktop looking area. It's okay to walk on. It's just that's what we're going to use until we can get the concrete put in there properly.
I'm going to be wrapping up the Q&A section shortly, so please do put in your question in the chat feature if you've got a burning question you want to ask the team. I wanted to come back to you, Darren. Will the road reopen each morning during construction? I'm sure people are concerned about their commutes.
Absolutely. According to our permit, we cannot shut the road down until 7 p.m. and we absolutely have to have it reopened by 6 a.m. And reopen means every cone is off of the road by 6 a.m.
All right.
It will be open.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Darren. Well, that wraps up this Q&A portion of tonight's meeting. I'm going to be handing things over to Mari to wrap us up. Mari.
Thank you, Benita. To stay informed, visit our project webpage at denverwater.org/Sheridan. You can sign up for emails and updates, find our FAQs, perhaps any questions you weren't able to ask tonight that we have already listed there, and contact information. If you have any questions or feedback, email us at water, WATER, capital U, doing at denverwater.org. You can also call us at 303-893-2444 during business hours. For after-hours concerns, you can reach us at 303-628-6801. We also encourage you to attend our in-person meeting open house on December 17th for more details and to meet the team. Scan the QR code on your screen to sign up for the open house and for updates to submit any feedback that you may have. And thank you so much for joining us tonight and for your continued partnership as we work to improve